Ivan is a young little kid who was abandoned by his parents. They dropped him on a snowy mountain and forced him to survive by himself. Ivan was trying to survive until he managed to find a secret treasure, something that gave him the power to save the world. However, a stranger sneaked up on his back and knocked him out. Not only did the stranger steal the treasure, but also placed a seal inside his body. Multiple years later, Ivan became a useless manga artist who is struggling to make ends meet by publishing his comics online. He is listening to the news when a golden portal suddenly opens beside him and pulls him in. He wakes up in a strange world and notices his clothes are different. He's convinced he has traveled through time. This is his chance. He can now become a hero instead of a loser that just draws manga. A 3-star demon wind appears behind him. Ivan is frightened by the demon's overwhelming presence. He wonders why the difficulty is so high right after his arrival, but he quickly reassures himself that he is the main character. The demon attacks Ivan, defeating him easily. Ivan starts to doubt if he truly is the chosen one. Liu Hang comes to his aid and unleashes lightning dragon powers that strike the demon. Ivan thinks the fight is over. The demon rises again and Ivan starts to run. A golden sword suddenly appears in his hands and its energy attracts the demon. The beast begins to chase him. He starts to panic and climbs a tree. The branch breaks and he falls directly onto the demon's back. The sword slips from his grip and lands perfectly, piercing the demon and defeating it instantly. The next day, Ivan wakes up outside. He is startled by a street cleaner shaking him. He assumes everything that happened was all a dream. A dog carrying a small yellow creature on its head approaches him. The sight makes him realize it was not a dream. He thinks that the holy messenger has arrived to form a contract with him. Ivan brings the small creature back to his home. He places a bowl of cat food in front of him, but the creature refuses to eat. The creature introduces itself as Gerome, a divine beast tasked with protecting the primordial formation. But Ivan is suspicious and accuses Gerome of fraud because he doesn't look like the demon beasts Ivan saw in books. Gerome dismisses his claims, explaining that much of what is written is exaggerated or false. He confirms the only thing true about it is that the devil god and its demon winds were sealed in the heterodox world by the primordial formation. Gerome tells Ivan that it has been guarding the 3 worlds for millions of years. He reveals that he is the one who gave Ivan the Excalibur, the golden sword that appeared the previous night and helped him defeat the demon when Gerome explains that the seal is weakening, causing a rift between the heterodox world and the 3 worlds. This energy instability is allowing more demon winds to slip through, which threatens their destruction. He tells Ivan it's his responsibility to enter the rifts and stop the demon winds because he's given the rare opportunity to be a chosen one. Their talk gets interrupted when Ivan's landlord calls. He pleads for an extension on his rent so his landlord doesn't throw him out. But as soon as he puts his phone into his pocket, he accidentally activates an app called the 1,000-Mile Voicer. The chosen ones have 3 laws. They cannot harm common people. They need to live in harmony with common people. And they cannot reveal their identity, but Ivan doesn't know this and ends up arrested by the Dub of Foreign Affairs. They accuse Ivan of disobeying the laws of the chosen one. They quickly check his registration in the app and discover that his spiritual animal is the divine beast of the formation. Ivan becomes proud after the Dub officers discover that Gerome is a divine beast. The officers commend him, assuring him that the world is counting on him to save it. They exit the room and they mock Ivan for thinking Gerome is a formation protection divine beast. Gerome jumps on Ivan, angrily reminding him that he should never reveal its identity. However, they are interrupted when an officer tells them to leave. Ivan makes his way to the portal and gets transported to another world. Ivan finds himself in an unfamiliar land and soon realizes he is in the southern continent. He gets reminded of the tales of the 3 worlds and their 4 continents: northern, southern, western, and eastern. He concludes that he must be in Moonshine, a prominent region of the southern continent. People start to talk about Ivan in Moonshine. They wonder how a loser like him managed to gain the attention of the Dub officers, a feat previously only achieved by the legendary Skeleton Genie. A man declares that Ivan is nothing like Skeleton Genie because he could never earn the Golden Wall during the trial of Swirling Falcon Prophetic Jade like she did. Ivan becomes curious and sets his sights on the trial. Gerome explains the Prophetic Jade as a measure of a chosen one's strength. The trial involves a wall that reflects the power of a participant's Prophetic Jade. Those who pass learn their rank through the light reflected by the wall, which comes in 5 levels: gold, purple, blue, green, and white. A golden wall indicates unmatched power, while weaker lights signify that one should give up their title as a chosen one. And until now, only Skeleton Genie has ever reached the golden wall. Ivan wants to go through the trial, but Gerome stops him. 2 men approach Ivan, mocking him for being too scared to face the trial. Ivan insists that fear has never been part of his life. He is determined to prove them wrong, so he moves toward the jade. Ivan reaches the jade, and he leaps toward it with confidence. The moment he makes contact, his entire body smashes against the surface, and nothing happens. People laugh at Ivan for being a weak loser. Ivan doesn't let that get to him because he believes he is chosen by fate. Ivan grips his Excalibur and swings it at the jade. A deafening crack spreads across the jade, silencing the crowd instantly. The onlookers get shocked as they stare at the fractured surface. The chaos calls Director Zane to the scene. Ivan waits as the director approaches, expecting punishment. Zane greets him and expresses his admiration. He compliments Ivan's feat, stating that no one has ever broken the wall. Zane invites Ivan to join the fight against the demon winds and to prove himself as a true warrior protecting the three worlds. He praises Ivan's potential and hands him his first mission. The mission requires Ivan to investigate strange events at Moonshine University. Reports include artifacts moving on their own, the mysterious disappearance of an ancient sword, unexplained explosions, and a trash can behaving mysteriously. That same night, Ivan begins his investigation and starts with the suspicious trash can. Gerome scolds him for losing focus. He reminds Ivan that his destiny is to fight demon winds and enter the rift, not become a garbage man. Ivan is unbothered because even small deeds hold great importance. Ivan shares that the ancient ruins of Moonshine University were excavated 3 months ago, but the strange rumors only began a month later. He points out that a batch of ancient swords were also discovered around this time, and since the disappearance of one of those swords, the artifacts in the showroom have stopped their weird movements. Gerome dismisses Ivan's ideas. But Ivan believes the missing ancient sword is attempting to summon an evil force from beneath the ground. He decides to find the sword at all costs. Suddenly, the rift activates. A powerful gust of wind throws him off balance, forcing him to draw Excalibur. A huge crab appears and Ivan pees his pants. The crab lunges, and Ivan tries to escape. He dodges a flurry of attacks, but one strike forces him to block with Excalibur. The sword's sheer power shatters one of the crab's arms. Ivan is encouraged by this, and he strikes again, breaking more of its limbs. The monster is overwhelmed and begins to retreat. Ivan chases after the fleeing crab. The creature abruptly turns and launches a surprise attack that shatters Excalibur and sends Ivan flying. The crab picks him up like a ragdoll. Ivan panics and he starts crying out for help as the crab crushes him. A girl arrives in her motorbike and transforms to the skeleton genie. She charges at the creature, forcing it to release Ivan as she defeats it easily. Back at home, Gerome is angry that someone as weak as Ivan was chosen as his formation spirit. This only happened because he couldn't find anyone else. Gerome remembers the unfortunate night he bonded with Ivan. He pushed Ivan into the portal, hoping to sacrifice him because he was too weak to become a true formation spirit. After they landed at the rift, Gerome noticed the demon wind ignoring Ivan entirely because he wasn't powerful enough to attract its attention. Gerome handed Excalibur to Ivan, intending to lure the demon wind toward him as part of his plan to repair the seal. The unexpected happened when Ivan defeated the demon wind. Ivan wakes up. He faces Gerome and says he has figured everything out. He calmly states that he won't fight demon winds anymore. He explains that he must focus on other ways to protect the three worlds. Gerome mocks him and accuses him of being a scaredy cat. Ivan confesses that he was terrified during his fight with the crab monster. Ivan suddenly notices the Excalibur glowing green as it repairs itself. Gerome and Ivan watch in surprise as the Excalibur gets reassembled. Gerome mutters that such a restoration could only be achieved by someone very powerful. Ivan is excited because his sword restoration proves he's a chosen one. Ivan then adds that the battle with the crab monster must have been a mere test of his worthiness. Gerome gets tired of Ivan's delusions. Ivan recalls the tale of the war against the devil god that Gerome had once told him. He presses Gerome about the hero's command over the 4 guardians and the 5 watches. Gerome avoids the question, but Ivan doesn't notice. Instead, he starts imagining himself as a hero surrounded by his own powerful guards and watches. The next morning, Ivan visits Lu Hang, who just moved to the apartment upstairs. Ivan then gets curious when he notices several glowing stones around. Lu Hang explains each stone has its specific uses, but they're obtained by defeating monsters or demons, just like the 3-star demon wind they recently defeated. The two decide to sell the core at a merchant, and Lu Hang prevents Ivan from getting totally scammed. Ivan decides to treat him to a meal as a thank you, but the restaurant owner is a huge tiger being bullied by a client. Ivan acts quickly because he doesn't believe this is fair. He stops the client from hitting the tiger and tells him to apologize. The man, however, rejects to apologize and runs away. Ivan pats Maya, the restaurant owner, and gets shocked when the tiger thanks him. Ivan thought Maya was a spiritual beast, but she simply explains she's also a chosen one. Ivan and Lu Hang are hanging out when Lu Hang notices that the rift is activating again. The two head straight toward it without hesitation. Inside the rift, they spot a 4-star demon wind. Lu Hang warns Ivan that this one specializes in hiding and sneak attacks. The demon wind summons a hurricane. Gerome nearly slips into it, but Ivan catches him. He decides to throw Gerome directly into the hurricane. Gerome hits the demon wind, but the demon wind manages to escape. He grabs Excalibur, but Lu Hang stops him from attacking. Lu Hang insists on planning a tactic first and tells Ivan to use some basic sword attacks. Ivan admits he can't use the attacks, so he ignores the suggestions and attacks recklessly. The Excalibur is so strong it even surprises Lu Hang. The two try to coordinate their attacks, but their swords end up clashing instead. The demon wind takes the chance to escape underground. Lu Hang warns Ivan to stay alert as it might attack from below. The demon wind bursts out of the ground, and Lu Hang counters with a powerful strike. The demon dodges, and Lu Hang's attack flies toward Ivan. Ivan uses Excalibur to deflect the blow back at Lu Hang, leaving him drenched in his own power. Lu Hang quickly warns Ivan that the demon wind is surfacing from beneath him. Ivan stabs the floor with his Excalibur. The impact is so strong that even Lu Hang is thrown away. The monster finally reveals itself. Ivan tells Lu Hang to stay back and protect himself because he would only hurt himself since he's not the chosen one. Lu Hang is angry Ivan is mocking him while he's trying to save him. Ivan tells him to acknowledge the fact that he is stronger. The demon wind attacks Ivan, but he beats it back with his sword. Lu Hang gets frustrated by Ivan's words and steps in to finish the fight. Lu Hang releases water dragons, which instantly defeat the demon wind. Ivan kneels before Lu Hang. He takes back his earlier words, admitting that Lu Hang is stronger than him. Ivan practices the basic sword attacks he didn't know earlier, following the book Lu Hang gave him. He tells Gerome that he was always alone before, but now he has to work harder to protect Lu Hang, his new right-wing guard. At Lu Hang's flat, Uncle Meng tells Lu Hang to stop worrying about teaming up Ivan because he's dependable. Lu Hang disagrees, saying Ivan is reckless, which could put any team in danger. Back at home, Ivan checks the progress of his manga online. He's disappointed to see it getting little attention. Later that night, he falls asleep from exhaustion. He gets woken up by a call from his editor. Ivan sees that his manga is suddenly gaining many readers. The editor suggests he create a new character with an alpha aura. Ivan recalls Skeleton Genie, who saved him from the crab monster, and decides to draw a character based on her. While out on a delivery the next day, Gerome asks when Ivan plans to stop wasting time and fight demon winds again. Ivan replies that it's not entirely up to him, but he wants to enter the rift soon so he can gather more experiences for his comic. He suddenly hears a girl screaming for help and decides to check it out. She's scared because there's a weirdo approaching her, and Ivan doesn't even think twice. He cannot a girl get hurt. He decides to throw the food at the guy and dropkicks him in the face. But it turns out this is a misunderstanding because they're recording a movie scene. Ivan tries to apologize for the whole thing, but suddenly, a strong wind sweeps through the alley. Ivan looks up and notices a new rift activating. The city gets covered in a red glow as the rift spreads across the streets. Ivan stands firm as a massive beast emerges from the rift. A thick chain hangs from its neck, rattling with every movement. He grips his Excalibur tightly and charges forward. He tries his new sword technique, but the beast catches it in its massive hands. Before Ivan can react, the beast spits poison on his face, but it doesn't affect him. He pushes forward, aiming another attack. Before he can land a hit, spiked rocks erupt from the ground, trapping him in place. Gerome watches silently from the back, away from the chaos. He is glad that Ivan will be sacrificed and the seal will finally get restored again. The beast's massive hands descend, but before it can hit, a purple streak slices through the air. The impact knocks the beast back, saving Ivan. He looks up and sees the Skeleton Genie. She moves with incredible speed and dodges every attack the beast throws at her. Gerome is frustrated by the Skeleton Genie, who is interfering and ruining his plans. After taking a blow from the Skeleton Genie, the beast remains standing. They then realize that the Demon Wind Beast is a 5-star, which explains why it didn't fall easily. The beast lunges at Skeleton Genie once again. Ivan frees himself from the spikes and draws his Excalibur. He offers to team up with Skeleton Genie, but he doesn't notice the beast coming from behind. Skeleton Genie intervenes and saves him. She steps forward, taking the fight to the beast herself. Ivan's Excalibur starts to glow with green light, pulling him toward the fight. The energy causes him to slash at Skeleton Genie instead of the monster. The beast attacks, but it can't keep up with Skeleton Genie's agility. Meanwhile, Ivan still can't control his sword, which wants to hunt the Skeleton Genie. Skeleton Genie uses her power to hold Ivan in place. She traps the beast with a magic spell, keeping it in one spot. Ivan realizes that he has found his left wing guard. Skeleton Genie's magic spell wraps around the beast and lifts it to the sky, which finishes the battle. The rift deactivates, but the Skeleton Genie can't locate the Demon Wind Core. The two transform back into their normal selves, and Ivan realizes that the Skeleton Genie is actually Kinmo. He pleads with Kinmo to join him as his left wing guard, but she coldly refuses. However, Liu Hang doesn't understand what Ivan needs and gives basic advice on how to pick up girls. The first step is to obviously stalk and pretend he listens and cares about her. So, he decides to follow her to an orphanage where he watches her play with the children. A smile forms on Ivan's face as he watches the kids praise Kinmo. They seem to adore her and even ask her to sing. He feels excited and eager to hear her voice. As Kinmo starts to sing, he freezes in shock along with the children. Her voice is unexpectedly terrible. He hears some orphanage workers mocking Kinmo's singing, which has not improved for years. They also talk about how much she has helped with adoption arrangements for the children over the years. Ivan walks closer to her and says that being adopted and loved by foster parents is the beginning of happiness for the orphans. He then shares a piece of his own past, saying the last time he saw his father was when he was about the age of the orphans. Ivan steps in front of her and asks her to be his left wing guard, but she rejects him and leaves. Ivan is frustrated. Kinmo refused him, but suddenly his phone rings. It's his editor. He starts scolding Ivan, announcing that his manga has been taken down due to copyright allegations. To make matters worse, the editor adds that Ivan won't be receiving any salary. Ivan starts to panic and he decides to rush over to his editor's office. Suddenly, the rift activates. The air turns heavy and the city trembles under the blue light. Ivan is ready to enter the rift when another call comes through. His landlord demands payment for overdue rent and threatens to throw out all his belongings and manuscripts. Ivan feels torn, unsure of which crisis to handle first. The weight of it all bears down on him, but he clenches his fists and is determined to take a stand as a hero. He heads toward the rift and encounters Maya being attacked by the same 5-star Demon Wind he fought with Kinmo. Ivan blocks the Demon Wind's attack with his Excalibur. He questions why the 5-star Demon Wind is still alive. He tells Maya to run while he handles the fight. Maya turns to run but hesitates. She glances back and sees Ivan struggling against the Demon Wind's strength. She rushes back to help Ivan. She swings her axe, but the Demon Wind shoves Ivan backward, causing the axe to strike Ivan on the head by accident. Ivan shrugs off the pain because he doesn't want to fail as a hero. The Demon Wind launches a flurry of attacks, and he blocks each one. Maya gets scared and goes into hiding. Ivan channels his strength into Excalibur and strikes. The blade slices through the Demon Wind's arm, severing it and disarming the beast. Ivan prepares for the fatal blow. Ivan swings his Excalibur again to finish the battle, but the Demon Wind catches the blade with its remaining arm. The strength of the Demon Wind begins to overpower him, and he feels his grip weakening. He calls out to Maya for help. Maya is too scared to act. Ivan tells her to believe in herself and step up. He assures her she's safe because he's keeping the Demon Wind distracted. Maya is encouraged by Ivan's words. She gathers her courage and charges at the Demon Wind. She punches the beast from behind, but the strike does nothing to its tough skin. The Demon Wind growls and slams its fist into the ground, causing a shockwave that pushes them back. The Demon Wind suddenly regenerates its lost arm. Ivan stares in disbelief and calls the Demon Wind a cheat. He declares that since it's playing unfair, he'll have to show his true power. He wishes the Demon Wind a better fate in its next life before slashing it into pieces with his Excalibur. Ivan gets shocked when the severed pieces of its body begin to reassemble. The Demon Wind grows even larger. The Demon Wind is just an illusion. The real body of the Demon Wind is hiding somewhere else. Until the main body is found and destroyed, the illusion will keep reforming. Ivan and Maya decide to run for their lives. Maya trips and the Demon Wind hurls a massive rock toward them. Ivan barely dodges it and helps Maya back on her feet. They keep running, but more rocks come flying their way. Ivan slashes some of the rocks with his Excalibur, but he fails to notice the Demon Wind's fist coming straight for him. The punch sends Ivan flying, and the Demon Wind traps him again with spikes rising from the ground. Maya is left alone, staring at the Demon Wind as it forms a massive boulder. The boulder crashes down on Maya just as Liu Hang and Kinmo arrive. Ivan angrily declares he didn't come here to watch people get hurt. Ivan becomes stronger out of determination and frees himself from the spiked trap. The demon wind tries to trap Ivan again with another wave of rocks, but he cuts through all of them. He quickly realizes that the sword isn't doing much damage to the demon wind. He channels the sword's fire and burns the demon wind's main body to ashes with his new sword technique. The core of the demon wind appears before him. Lu Hang watches in shock, realizing the true extent of Ivan's power. Maya emerges from under a pile of boulders. After the battle, Ivan hurries home. He inspects his house and feels relieved to find all his manuscripts intact. Gerome is there too. His landlord calls and informs him that someone has paid his rent. Ivan celebrates, and he is grateful he doesn't have to sleep on the streets. Another call comes from his editor. The editor apologizes and explains the copyright issue was a misunderstanding. He is eager for Ivan to get to work and create a new chapter for his growing fanbase. Ivan smiles and claims that if Kin Mo had seen how he defeated the demon wind in one strike, she would surely admire him. He vows to work hard to pay off his debts and win over Kin Mo as his left-wing guard. Ivan checks his phone and sees a message from the Dubu government office. It informs him that his overdue fine will now incur a 1% penalty daily. As he clicks the link in the message, he accidentally enters a group chat with the Chosen Ones. He notices that Skeleton Genie ranks 10th on the list of the Chosen Ones, while he's already ranked at 49. The group chat buzzes with discussions about Ivan defeating a 5-star demon wind that even Skeleton Genie failed to handle. While some members praise Ivan's accomplishment, others dismiss him as a troublemaker who got lucky. Maya speaks up in the group chat to praise Ivan and boost his spirits. Meanwhile, Lu Hang reconsiders his opinion of Ivan after being impressed by how he defeated the 5-star demon wind. Lu Hang tells Uncle Meng to stop messing with Ivan. He reveals that Uncle Meng was the one who created problems about Ivan's rent and manga so they don't have to team up. Uncle Meng informs Lu Hang that he has already fixed everything. Inside Ivan's flat, Gerome notices something strange. A sleep gas grenade is thrown through the window, which soon fills the room. Before falling asleep, Gerome spots someone climbing in through the window. The stranger swaps Excalibur with a fake sword and escapes without being caught. The next day, Ivan receives a text from Maya asking help because her spiritual animal Blue went missing. Ivan heads out to the park to meet Maya and gets poked on his shoulder. But when turns around, he gets shocked to see a shy girl who claims to be Maya. She shyly explains that she uses a voice changer because people used to mock her and shows him a picture of Blue. As Ivan examines the picture, Gerome suddenly starts pulling his hair. The ground starts to shake. Ivan panics, but Maya explains that the rumbling is caused by the Wild Goose Pagoda, a nearby building which is rumored to house 100,000 demons. The ground trembles again, more violently this time. Ivan is convinced it isn't a mere rumor. An explosion erupts from the building, sending shockwaves through the area. A black spirit materializes in front of Ivan. Maya looks horrified and wonders if Blue was taken by the demons. Ivan reassures her as he promises to protect Blue. He tries to summon Excalibur, but nothing appears. He realizes his sword is missing. The demon begins to chase them, forcing Ivan to run. Ivan spots Excalibur near a garbage trolley. Ivan is confused as to why the Excalibur is there. Ivan grabs the sword. However, the demon paralyzes him with a powerful force. Maya screams his name and rushes to his side, cradling him as she tries to assess his condition. The demon hurls Excalibur straight at him. The blade strikes him, and he hurts him badly. Ivan urges her to run, but she can't. She still remembers how Ivan shielded and protected her. He promised he wouldn't let her get hurt, and he stood up for her when others mocked her. The demon lunges toward them. Maya grits her teeth and transforms into her tiger form. She wants to protect Ivan from the demon. Ivan is her first true friend, and she won't let him get hurt. She charges at the demon. The demon dodges each of her attacks. She summons a fiery tiger spirit and attacks the demon with incredible force. The demon disappears from the rift and Blue emerges from the shadows. The Excalibur is now possessed by the ancient sword of green. The black demon that attacked them was some kind of creature influenced by Ivan's Excalibur. After the battle, Ivan dreams about the day his father left. He chases after his father so his father doesn't leave him behind. His body responds to the dream and rises from the bed as if reaching out. He walks toward the window and nearly falls from the ledge. Maya rushes towards him, grabs him by the waist, pulling him back. She grips his arm tightly and begs him not to let go of life so easily. Ivan is confused because they're on the ground floor. Maya takes him to the hospital. He learns that the doctor attending to him is Yikai. Yikai says his brain damage seems worse than expected, given that he saw illusions and almost harmed himself. She then asks if he's been taking any medications. Maya brings out a box of pills she found and hands it to Yikai. Yikai examines the pills and identifies them as 5 dragon pills. She explains that they alter how neurons transfer information in the brain. Overdosing on them can slow movement and cause abnormal heart rates. In a fight, such effects could be fatal. Ivan is confused. He has never seen those pills before. However, he gets even more confused when Yikai talks about the small puppet. She says it's surprising that someone in the modern era still believes in puppet rituals. Ivan is clueless about it. He doesn't know anything about the pills or the puppet. Yikai asks if she can join his team. Ivan denies her request because she doesn't meet his skill requirements. Yikai gets annoyed because he's mocking her skills. Yikai leaves the room as she tells Maya to make sure Ivan doesn't end his life. When they step outside, a nurse informs them that Ivan's body is deteriorating rapidly, and doctors have given him no more than a month to live. Maya cannot believe it, but she thinks for a second and realizes that maybe Ivan already knew all along, which made him use the pills. Maya turns back toward Ivan's room. She forces herself to ask if he has any unfulfilled wishes. He says he wants Kinmo to be on his team. She takes out her phone and contacts Kinmo. She explains Ivan's condition and his last wish to have her as his left wing guard. She looks back at Ivan and notices him smiling. She knows he's acting normal, and for that reason, she decides to prepare a discharge party for him. Lu Hang, Uncle Meng, Yikai, and Maya attend Ivan's discharge party. Suddenly, Kinmo arrives. Ivan raises his glass to make a toast. He's happy that he finally had his dream party. However, Kinmo isn't so happy, so she decides to leave. She reveals that she only came to the party because she was informed that Ivan will pass in a month due to his bad health from fighting demon winds. The news hits Ivan hard. He turns to look at his friends' faces, hoping for a sign that it's a joke. The truth sinks in and Ivan walks out of the room. He starts crying inside his room. Beside him is Gerome, who starts laughing happily because his wish will finally come true. Gerome dances weirdly and Ivan assumes he is drunk, so he dismisses his behavior. Gerome suddenly exclaims that if he had not been weakened and lost his power, he would never have ended up with a loser like Ivan. He mocks Ivan's perfect physique, pointing out that it's useless because he has no talent. He then proceeds to label him a disgrace to the Chosen Ones. Gerome informs Ivan that his greatest contribution would be sacrificing himself for the formation so the demon god doesn't return. He reveals that he tampered with the Excalibur, causing it to attract demon winds, hoping Ivan would be defeated. Gerome expresses frustration that Ivan kept surviving despite his efforts. He blames Lu Hang and Kinmo for interfering and helping Ivan defeat the demon winds. Ivan listens as Jerome's betrayal sinks in. Gerome boasts that once his power is fully restored, the primordial formation will stabilize again. He adds that by then, Ivan will be completely useless to him. Ivan sits frozen as he realizes the accidents and misfortune he had endured were all Jerome's doing. Ivan recalls the 5 dragon pills and accuses Gerome of deliberately making him take them. Gerome denies forcing him and claims he simply left the pills where Ivan could reach them. Ivan remembers the events at the Wild Goose Pagoda. He demands to know if Gerome placed the fake Excalibur there to ensure he would lose, but Gerome denies doing it. Gerome then reveals another secret. He tells Ivan he is not a chosen one after all. Gerome mocks him for being naive and falling for the lies. Ivan gets overwhelmed by Jerome's confessions. He accuses Gerome of hurting him and betraying his trust. Ivan demands to know why Gerome betrayed him because he never mistreated him. He reminds Gerome of how he fed him, looked after his daily needs, took him for rides, and spent every day with him. As a result, Ivan decides to make Jerome's life a living hell by using every opportunity to disturb him, either in the shower or while sleeping. The revenge plan comes to an end when Maya suddenly arrives at Ivan's flat. Gerome rushes toward her, calling her his savior, but Ivan keeps him from getting close. Maya steps in and apologizes to Ivan. She explains that the earlier news about him dying was a mistake. Yikai had been referring to another patient in the hospital that's also named Ivan. However, Ivan's condition is certainly unusual. The results of a thorough medical examination show that all his physical indexes are normal. As a chosen one, his prophetic jade is far too weak. Yikai points out that someone with his jade condition shouldn't have been capable of performing the feats he had during his battles. She avoids jumping to conclusions, but suggests that Ivan's situation might be connected to possession or some other abnormality. Ivan processes the news and feels relieved. However, Maya reveals she needs Ivan to take care of Blue while she focuses on her college exams. Ivan is happy to help, but Gerome starts plotting. He can't stand Ivan anymore and asks Blue about when the formation will recover. Yet, he suddenly notices Blue has lost his divine power. Ivan notices this interaction and accuses the two of scheming. Gerome begins to feel desperate and asks Ivan to help him restore Blue's power. Yet, Ivan just grabs him and kicks him out. Ivan doesn't stop there. He gathers Jerome's belongings and hurls them out one by one. He stands at the door and firmly states that he doesn't need Gerome to save the world. His voice turns sharp as he adds that Jerome's presence only makes him worry about being backstabbed by someone he calls a friend. He says a partner who can't be trusted is no better than an enemy. Gerome sits outside and starts crying as Ivan shuts him out. Suddenly, Gerome appears at the window and launches himself directly at Ivan's face. Gerome curses loudly and declares that it is a divine beast, far above a mere mortal like Ivan. Gerome leaps onto Ivan's back, bouncing up and down. Blue watches Decudes to join in. Gerome then gives Ivan an ultimatum. He has two choices: to restore the primordial formation and cure Blue or face eternal torment. Gerome starts to explain that the Tales of the Three Worlds is only half the story. Long ago, the Great Demon was sealed by 5 sages using the primordial formation. To ensure no one could ever release the demon, the sages destroyed the golden lotus of the mortal world, which was the key to the formation. They then hid the key's position, scattering its remnants across the realms. Gerome reveals that both him and Blue served as the formation's protection beasts. While the formation occasionally grew unstable due to imbalances between heaven and earth, the two beasts were always able to repair it. However, over thousands of years, the fragments of the destroyed key began to reform. 500 years ago, a mysterious organization named White Ghost managed to gather all the fragments. Gerome reveals that together with Blue and the Dub officers, he fought against the White Ghost organization to stop their plans. Ivan recalls the explosion at the archaeological site and narrows his eyes, suspecting Gerome had something to do with it. Gerome hesitates, looking guilt-ridden, and admits that he and Blue caused the explosion that night. Before Ivan can press further, the Excalibur suddenly moves on its own. The sword leaps without warning from its place and hits Blue. Ivan grabs the sword, trying to wrestle it under control, but its immense power resists him. The energy from the sword outpowers Ivan, and he collapses to the ground. Gerome stands over him, seizing his opportunity for revenge. He decides to end Ivan now and focus on restoring Blue. As he lifts his hand to act, memories flood his mind. He recalls Ivan's kindness, the meal shared, the way Ivan cared for him despite everything. Gerome can't go through with his evil plan, so lowers his hand and instead chooses to heal Ivan. Light swirls around Gerome as he channels his remaining energy into Ivan to stabilize his condition. Ivan stirs awake and sits up quickly. He accuses Gerome of doing something evil to him. However, Gerome informs Ivan that his prophetic jade is sealed, which is strange. Ivan stands in his room with his mind wandering to a vivid daydream. He pictures the other chosen ones surrounding him, cheering as he achieves the highest color at the prophetic jade after his victory against the 5-star demon. The thought makes him grin, but Gerome interrupts with an annoyed huff, snapping at him for wasting time on fantasies. He brushes off Jerome's criticism, pointing out that no other chosen one has ever had their prophetic jade sealed except him. He adds that his sword is unlike any other, and even Gerome himself came to him despite everything. Ivan leans back and declares that if Gerome helps unseal his prophetic jade, he might even forgive all his past crimes. Gerome explains that the seal cannot be broken directly, but has been weakened. He assures him that more battles will loosen it further until it eventually shatters. Ivan glares and warns Gerome not to dare sacrifice him for the formation again. Gerome quickly hides behind Blue, insisting that if it wanted to harm him, it would have done so when he was unconscious. Ivan thinks of an idea to turn his adventures into his next manga story. Later, as Ivan drafts another manga chapter, Gerome watches a news report about a powerful typhoon forming nearby. Blue peers out the window, fascinated by the swirling winds that send debris flying through the streets. Blue becomes very serious, and he opens the window, only to be caught by the strong wind. Gerome grabs Blue just in time before he's pulled out, but the force of the wind drags Gerome out as well. Ivan hears the commotion and rushes over, grabbing both of them. Gerome frantically pleads with Ivan to pull them back inside. Just then, a news segment about Ivan's idol, a famous manga artist, catches his attention. Ivan becomes so distracted that he releases his grip. Gerome yells, thinking that they'll get swept away by the wind, but Ivan quickly slams the window shut, keeping them safe. Ivan's mood shifts entirely as he watches his idol promote his manga on live TV. He cheers, dancing around the room in excitement when his phone rings. A representative from an entertainment company calls to express interest in purchasing the film and TV adaptation rights to his work. Ivan can barely contain his joy. He grabs his scooter and rushes out despite the raging typhoon, determined to meet the company. The wind nearly blows him away, but he presses forward. Along the way, he spots an unconscious man lying on the sidewalk. He stops to check if the man is all right. Before Ivan can act further, another man collapses nearby. Ivan becomes alarmed and follows the trail to a nearby alley. He finds Kinmo there, surrounded by unconscious men. Ivan assumes she's responsible for the chaos. He warns her that he can't ignore this behavior despite her being his favorite left-wing guard. He insists he'll have to report her to the Dub government office. Kinmo ignores his threats and casually tells him to inform the Dub before things get out of control. Ivan stands in the alley, still processing Kinmo's warning as she drives off. He tries to shake off the confusion, but something feels off. Then, a strange sensation sweeps over him. The rift is activating again. One by one, the unconscious people lying around start to stir. Ivan watches in confusion as they get to their feet with stiff, unnatural movements. He initially thinks they're sleepwalking, but he recognizes the signs of a zombie apocalypse. He spots a shovel leaning against the alley wall and grabs it, holding it tightly as a precaution in case they attack. Before he can decide what to do next, vines sprout from the walls and the ground, snaking toward the sleepwalking people. They twist and curl, quickly trapping the figures in place. Ivan takes a step back, unsure whether to feel relieved or more alarmed. A voice calls out from above, which startles him. Ivan looks up and demands to know who she is. A woman emerges and calmly introduces herself as the Dub's druggist. It turns out that after the typhoon began forming, several spots in Mingxian started showing signs of time and space energy instability. Around those spots, over 100 people began exhibiting symptoms of sleepwalking. Those affected lose consciousness suddenly, falling into a deep coma. The druggist adds that a demon wind is likely the cause of the strange symptoms. That night, Ivan goes to the entertainment office. He gets a huge contract deal, and while also getting some input on the direction of his story, which is quite similar to his past. The manager describes a child on a snowy mountain who accidentally obtains a secret treasure meant to save the world. However, a stranger takes it from him and plants a seal inside him, making him forget everything that happened. Ivan becomes intrigued, but is completely unaware that the story mirrors his own life. He asks a series of questions. He wonders why the child was alone, where his family was, why he was on a snowy mountain, what the secret treasure was, and why something was sealed inside the child. Ivan feels increasingly unsettled and decides to leave. He tells the representative that he'll take his time to think it over. On his way home, Ivan unexpectedly runs into Kinmo on her motorbike. He casually asks if she's here to congratulate him. He then mentions that his manga will soon be adapted, and with the money, he'll be able to pay off his debts. He suggests that she should team up with him. Before Kinmo can respond, both of their phones buzz. The Dub announcement warns of severe time and space energy disturbance, advising any nearby chosen ones to check the area. Ivan decides to tag along and hops onto Kinmo's motorbike as he claims that his scooter is broken. They head toward the Bay Area where the instability is reported. Once they arrive, Ivan immediately senses something is off. He can't feel the rift, and the typhoon seems non-existent. Kinmo disagrees, insisting that there's an enchantment there. She calls out to whoever is hiding, demanding they show themselves. Soon, several people in a sleepwalking state emerge and start attacking them. Kinmo swiftly takes out a few of them, but Ivan avoids using force as he is unwilling to harm the people under the influence. The situation intensifies when a massive roar echoes through the area. Ivan realizes that a large group of sleepwalkers is now ganging up on him. He calls out to Kinmo for help, telling her that their strength has suddenly increased. Kinmo sees Ivan in trouble and tries to rush to his aid, but is cornered by more sleepwalkers. She transforms into the skeleton genie and takes out several of the attackers at once. She lifts Ivan up and moves him to a safer place. Ivan praises her and tells her she truly deserves to be his left-wing guard. But just as he's about to relax, a drop of saliva falls on his head. He turns around to find a massive demon wind looming behind him. Before he can react, Lu Hang arrives just in time, taking down the demon wind with a powerful strike. However, the demon wind doesn't fall and quickly recovers. Lu Hang informs them that the demon wind has somehow managed to break through the rift and enter the present world. He suggests they formulate a strategy, but Kinmo refuses because only weak people use strategy. Ivan agrees with her and suggests they combine forces to take down the high-level demon wind. Lu Hang reluctantly agrees and joins them as they prepare to face the threat. Despite their synchronized efforts, the demon wind easily deflects their attacks without a scratch. proving to be far stronger than they expected. Lu Hang concludes that their attacks are useless against the demon wind. He believes they can't harm it at all. Qin Mo brushes it off and blames the demon wind's thick skin. Ivan stays positive and insists they attack together to show it their power of friendship. He charges with Excalibur, but the demon wind swats him away with ease. Qin Mo and Lu Hang follow up with long-range attacks, but a thunderous roar from the demon wind deflects everything. The roar spreads further, turning more nearby people into sleepwalkers who stagger toward them. The sleepwalkers attack, but Qin Mo and Lu Hang dodge with ease. She observes that if things continue like this, the citizens affected by the sleepwalking virus will collapse from exhaustion. Lu Hang agrees and tries to inform Dub, but there's no signal. He becomes frustrated, convinced they have no way to defeat the demon wind. Ivan stays determined and tells him to go to Dub for reinforcements. When Lu Hang hesitates because he is worrying about the affected citizens, Ivan assures him they'll handle the demon wind. As Lu Hang leaves, Ivan feels exhilarated. He's finally fighting alongside Qin Mo, his trusted left-wing guard. Suddenly, Excalibur glows green, and its overwhelming power surges through him. He warns Qin Mo to move away before she gets hurt. She casts a powerful spell to trap the demon wind, but it only holds for a moment. The demon wind shatters the trap and strikes directly at her. Ivan pushes her out of the way without hesitation and takes the blow himself. The impact leaves Ivan injured and gasping for breath. He laments about missing his chance to truly fight side by side with Qin Mo. Another powerful attack from the demon wind is incoming, but Lu Hang returns just in time to block it. Qin Mo becomes frustrated and demands to know when reinforcements will arrive, but Lu Hang admits he couldn't contact anyone. He had tried escaping the enchantment, but failed repeatedly. Qin Mo realizes the situation and concludes they have no choice but to defeat the demon wind themselves. The two launch simultaneous and powerful attacks. The demon wind retaliates, its sheer agility surprising Qin Mo. She dodges most of its strikes, but exhaustion starts to show. Ivan struggles to stand with his body trembling. Qin Mo stumbles, and the demon wind targets her. She conjures a spiked shield just in time, while Lu Hang distracts the creature. The two try to trap it again, pouring all their strength into their efforts, but nothing works. Instead, the demon wind delivers a devastating punch, sending them both flying. Qin Mo lies unconscious and defenseless as the demon wind looms over her while swaying gleefully. Ivan's anger boils, and the seal within him starts to unlock. The power surges through him, and Excalibur begins to glow again. He rushes forward, his blade burning the demon wind's fingers as he blocks its attack. This time, he resists the sword's overwhelming pull and keeps control. He charges at the demon wind with his movements becoming sharper and more focused. Each of the demon wind's punches misses as Ivan dodges swiftly. He strikes with his sword, but before he can land a blow, the demon wind counters with a powerful punch. Blood drips from Ivan as the demon wind grabs him, its grip tightening with merciless strength. Ivan grits his teeth through the pain, mocking the demon wind's strength in defiance. The creature tightens its grip further, and Ivan screams. The seal within him reacts, glowing fiercely and burning the demon wind's hand. With a pained howl, the creature drops him. Ivan collapses to the ground, gasping for air but refusing to give up. Qin Mo and Lu Hang watch as Ivan struggles to stand, blood dripping from his wounds. His resolute but faint voice breaks the tension. He declares that he would never be defeated because he is a chosen one. The determination in his words ignites something in Qin Mo. She steps forward to join the fight with a renewed resolve. Ivan becomes distracted and watches as Qin Mo blocks a powerful attack meant for him. He's stunned by her action for a moment, but she snaps him out of it and reminds him to stay focused and be careful. Together, they face the demon wind, launching simultaneous attacks. Qin Mo's agility and precision complement Ivan's fierce strikes with Excalibur, creating a rhythm that pushes the demon wind back. Lu Hang feels his own resolve strengthening as he watches the two fight with everything they have. He shakes off the pain and joins them, flanking the demon wind with swift movements. Ivan charges forward, his sword glowing with energy, and slashes the demon wind's side. Qin Mo notices the impact. It's the first time they've managed to crack its thick armor. She yells out to Ivan, pointing out the damage. The demon wind freezes for a moment and its movements become slower. Ivan and Qin Mo realize something. The creature's defense increases whenever it gets hurt, hardening its body. But that defense comes with a cost if they keep inflicting damage. Its body will eventually collapse under its own weight. Qin Mo's sharp eyes catch a faint glow on its belly. She deduces that it's the weak point and shouts to Ivan that they need to focus their attacks there. Qin Mo volunteers to distract the demon wind, darting around it with calculated movements and launching quick strikes. She keeps its attention locked on her, forcing it to swing wildly at her. Kinmo moves swiftly, trapping one of the demon wind's massive arms with a powerful spell, which prevents it from shielding itself. Ivan seizes the opportunity, charging forward to attack. Just as he's about to strike, the demon wind attempts to grab him with its free arm. Lu Hang intervenes in time, casting another spell to restrain the other arm. With both arms immobilized, Ivan channels his energy into his sword and launches an attack at the creature's glowing belly. The strike lands but doesn't penetrate deeply enough. Ivan yells to them that they need to try again and urges them to give it everything they've got. Before they can regroup, the demon wind roars and breaks free from their traps. Ivan notices its attention shift and realizes it's about to strike them from behind. Before he can warn the others, a sudden burst of energy lights up the battlefield. A strong, magical flower barrier blooms around them, forcing the demon wind back. The team turns to see a figure emerge from the mist. Lu Hang recognizes her immediately as a dub reinforcement. Ivan, however, sees her clearly and realizes it's Dr. Yikai. The barrier pulses with radiant energy, and Kinmo feels a surge of strength coursing through her body. Yikai calmly explains that the energy barrier she created is replenishing their stamina, but it's only strong enough to support one decisive strike. Ivan grits his teeth and declares that they'll make it count. The group springs into action. Kinmo traps the demon wind's body with a more advanced spell, locking it in place. Lu Hang amplifies the trap by layering another barrier on top to hold down the demon. Ivan moves into position with the Excalibur glowing brighter than ever. With Yikai channeling her energy into the group's attacks, they synchronize their movements. Ivan's eyes lock on the glowing weak spot on the demon wind's belly. With a final burst of strength, Ivan leaps forward and his blade cut through the air. The force of his slash is unstoppable, piercing the demon wind's core with a resounding blow. A deafening roar echoes as the demon wind collapses, its massive form dissolving into dark mist. The enchantment fades instantly, and the battlefield quiets. The demon core, a pulsating orb of blue energy, materializes before them, floating silently. Ivan turns to call out to Kinmo and Lu Hang faintly, but before they can respond, he collapses to the ground. His voice is faint but filled with relief as he mutters that they've finally done it. The battle is won. Ivan recovers in a hospital room and his body aching from the battle the previous day. His phone buzzes on the bedside table. It confirms they just defeated a 7-star demon wind. In his dream, he is running after a shadowy figure he instinctively knows is his father. The figure stays just out of reach no matter how fast Ivan runs. The snow grows harsher, and suddenly, a crack of lightning strikes him. Pain surges through his body, and the shock jolts him awake. His breathing is ragged as he clutches his chest, his heart racing from the vivid dream. Lu Hang sets up the projector in Ivan's room and turns it on. A video call connects, and Maya's face appears on the screen. She congratulates them on their victory, calling it an incredible achievement to take down a 7-star demon wind. Maya's voice softens as she expresses her regret for being away and her eagerness to return to fight alongside them. Meanwhile, rumors have started circulating, and Ivan's name is at the center of them. He is being labeled as a mole within the Chosen Ones. It is being deduced that the White Ghost organization has become more active since Ivan's selection. He was also present during the appearances of 2 high-level demon winds, which is an unusual coincidence. Most damning of all, Ivan's father was once a spy for the White Ghosts. Ivan sits in his hospital bed as he recounts the events of the battle to Maya. She asks about Yikai, and Ivan shares his disbelief over the immense power Yikai displayed. He admits they were on the brink of defeat because they were outmatched by the demon wind. But not until Yikai arrived like a savior. The memory of her magical flower barrier and the burst of renewed energy feels almost surreal. However, as Ivan speaks, the video call suddenly disconnects. Ivan wonders why Yikai wasn't included in the official list of Chosen Ones credited with defeating the 7-star demon wind. It doesn't sit right with him, but before he can dwell on it further, his room door bursts open. Officers from the double government step inside without warning, their stern faces giving away their intent. Ivan is brought to the Double's Justice Court, where he appeared the first time he violated the rules as a Chosen One. He jokingly tells them they should spend their free time plowing fields rather than barging into his room with grim expressions. The humor fails to lighten the mood. As they enter the court, one officer cuts straight to the point, asking about the whereabouts of Ivan's father, Wang Jian. Ivan's expression changes for a split second before he chuckles. He asks if the officer knows his father, and if they're friends. The officer's face hardens at his response, the tension thickening in the air. Ivan continues with his playful tone, asking if his father owes the officer money. The officer, visibly angered, retorts that Ivan will never be able to pay off the debts his father left behind. Ivan guesses aloud that the debt must be at least $1 million. He shrugs it off and turns to leave. But before he can take another step, the officer casts a spell. A glowing prison suddenly traps Ivan. He stares at the magical bars in disbelief. The officer steps closer, demanding to know how Ivan communicates with his father and accusing him of aiding the White Ghost organization in releasing the demon winds. The weight of the accusation hits Ivan like a blow. They didn't invite him to Dub to be asked about the 7-star demon wind, but instead, he is being interrogated about his father. Electricity courses through the prison, sending searing pain through Ivan's body. He grits his teeth, his body trembling as the officer watches coldly. The officer declares that Ivan's suffering is insignificant compared to those who lost their lives from his betrayal. Ivan glares back, pain sharpening his defiance. He demands to be treated fairly, challenging the officer to face him without the cage. The officer tells Ivan there's no need to be fair when dealing with the son of a traitor. The officer's voice is stern as he begins to recount the events of 2 decades ago. He tells him about the energy fluctuation incident at the snow mountains on the northern continent. The Dub organization had suspected the appearance of a key fragment. North Star, the leader of the 4 stars, was assigned to lead a team to retrieve it. Though they planned everything out, the mission went horribly wrong. A sudden energy surge had thrown their plane off course, causing it to crash in the snow mountains. North Star and the chosen ones on board didn't make it, along with most civilians. The officer continues, saying the key fragment wasn't recovered. However, North Star had something in his hand when his body was discovered. Investigators later linked Wang Zhan's code name to the scene. He was accused of defeating North Star, taking the fragment, and betraying Dub to join the White Ghost organization. To the world, Wang Zhan became a symbol of treachery, his name synonymous with betrayal. Ivan stares at the officer, disbelief etched on his face. He refuses to accept it. His father could never have done such a thing. He tries to argue, claiming the story must be wrong, but the officer presses on. He demands to know where Wang Zhan is and the location of the missing key fragment. Ivan shakes his head, insisting he has no idea. His words earn him another surge of electricity. Pain shoots through his body, but he grits his teeth, bearing the punishment despite his innocence. The officer asks about the White Ghost organization, accusing Ivan of aiding them in concealing his father's whereabouts. Ivan vehemently denies the accusations, declaring his loyalty to the Chosen Ones. He points out that his teammates can vouch for him. The officer scoffs, telling him that no one would stand by the son of a traitor. Ivan is also being accused of helping the 7-star demon wind infiltrate the present world. The officer furiously raises his hand to electrify him once more. Before the energy strikes, a loud crash echoes in the room. Qin Mo strikes the officer from behind. The officer turns and accuses Qin Mo of breaking into government grounds and interfering with a prisoner. As the officer prepares to retaliate, Blue and Gerome appear from the shadows, working together to distract him. Qin Mo commands them to save Ivan, but the officer prevents them from doing so. Blue moves quickly, using his slime-like body to slip through gaps and attack from unexpected angles. The officer stumbles back and is momentarily caught off guard. Blue takes the opportunity to bounce forcefully, landing a powerful hit on the officer's face. The officer growls in frustration, declaring them traitors and threatening to arrest them all. Qin Mo wastes no time, using her powers to trap the officer. She rushes to Ivan's side and helps him to his feet. Just as they're about to make their escape, the officer shatters the trap. He lunges at them with his weapon, but his strike is blocked by the druggist. The officer's attack halts as the druggist declares that the investigation time has ended. Torturing Ivan further would be a breach of protocol. The officer doesn't relent and engages the druggist in a fierce battle. A moment later, the officer's blade slashes through the druggist's mask, revealing her to be Ye Kai. Ivan stares as his eyes widens in disbelief. The officer sneers, mocking the group for colluding with the son of a traitor. He questions Ye Kai's loyalty to Dub. Ye Kai ignores the accusation and orders Qin Mo and Ivan to leave immediately. As they escape, Ivan asks Qin Mo why she risked so much to save him. Her reply is curt: he saved her once, and she doesn't want to owe him anything. The sound of guards approaching grows louder. Qin Mo shoves Ivan toward the exit, staying behind to hold the pursuers off. Ivan protests, but she doesn't give him a choice. Her form fades from view as she faces the guards alone. Outside, Ivan falls into the streets. Whispers and glares meet him as he lies on the floor. Someone throws a raw egg, and it smashes against his head, the yolk dripping down his hair. The people are labeling him a traitor and a bringer of demon winds. Ivan returns home and sits by the edge of his window for several hours. Gerome watches him with growing concern. Gerome approaches cautiously and tells Ivan that whatever his father might have done, it doesn't define him. He reminds him that the seal within him is half loosened, a sign that even the formation doesn't want to sacrifice him. Ivan's phone buzzes and a notification announces that in 3 days, the Dub government will decide whether Ivan will officially be labeled as a traitor. The next day, Ivan is missing. Gerome and Blue find a goodbye letter on his table and read it. Ivan explains that he has gone. He tells them to rely on Lu Hang and Maya to take care of them. He also mentions how it pains him that he was never recognized by Qin Mo. Panic sets in as Gerome and Blue rush out of the flat to find Lu Hang. They show him the letter, their faces pale with worry. Word spreads quickly, and soon Ye Kai learns of Ivan's disappearance. Meanwhile, in the southern continent, protests erupt. The crowd demands Ivan's expulsion, their chants echoing through the streets. Qin Mo arrives and steps forward. She argues that there is no proof Ivan is a traitor, and reminds them of the law against slander. She points out that the Dub government has not made any announcements and that no one has the right to condemn him without evidence. She speaks of Ivan's bravery, his relentless efforts to protect his teammates, and his unwavering determination in battles against demon winds. She expresses her belief in Ivan as both the skeleton genie or simply as Qin Mo. Far from the chaos, Ivan finds himself in the shadows, facing a member of the White Ghost organization. The White Ghost member holds a glowing box. He took it from the unconscious Dub member lying on the ground. The White Ghost member attempts to escape with the box, but Ivan corners him. With his blade pressed against the member, Ivan forces him to drop the box. It falls into the rushing river below. Gerome arrives just in time to witness the scene. He freezes as he watches Ivan dive into the river. Jerome's chest tightens, thinking Ivan is recklessly throwing his life away. Blue suddenly dives into the river and finds the box. He bites it, and the box suddenly clicks open, revealing a shimmering projection of a map of a snowy mountain. Ivan recognizes the mountain as the same one he has seen in his dream countless times. The snowy mountains hold a special treasure, something that has drawn the White Ghost organization into their world. It is deeply tied to the events of 20 years ago, the mysterious crash, and the accusations that have haunted Ivan's father ever since. Ivan heads out to the snowy mountain to find out the truth. Gerome follows behind as he questions why Ivan feels the need to take such a risk. Ivan responds firmly, saying he has to prove his father's innocence. The crash site is the only place where he might find evidence to clear his father's name. The two eventually reach the spot marked on the map, but the vastness of the mountains overwhelms them. Gerome points out the location below, but the terrain is too dangerous. He insists they'll be subdued by the elements before finding anything useful. Ivan stares at the terrains, trying to figure out a way to descend safely. Before he can come up with a plan, the ground beneath them begins to crack. Gerome shouts a warning, but it's too late. The cliff gives way, and they start falling. Just before they hit the bottom, Lu Hang arrives and cushions their fall with his power. Ivan opens his eyes to the sight of Qin Mo holding him. He then wonders if he found a shortcut to heaven. He reaches out to touch her face to check if she's real, but she drops him unceremoniously to the ground. He turns his head and sees Lu Hang, Maya, and Ye Kai standing nearby. Ivan is stunned and asks what they're doing there. Maya scolds him, saying they came to save him from his reckless decision. Lu Hang adds that he figured out where Ivan was heading and refused to let him face the danger alone. Ivan reminds them that their team disbanded, but Ye Kai interrupts, apologizing for hiding her true identity. She assures him she never intended to leave and shares her desire to uncover the truth about the past. Ivan then asks if Qin Mo is part of this reunion as well. Qin Mo shrugs, giving no direct answer, but he remembers her words from before that he was an exception to her rule of never joining a team. Ivan happily announces that their team has reassembled. He then turns to Maya and asks if she feels cold. Maya responds that chosen ones rarely feel cold because of their prophetic jade. Ivan loudly declares that it must be because his prophetic jade is sealed. That's why he is cold. The group is shocked with his revelation. Gerome angrily complains about his talkativeness. Ye Kai looks at Ivan with a clinical eye, stating that she doesn't see anything abnormal in him for now. She promises to conduct a thorough medical examination once they return. Ivan glances at Maya and shifts the topic, asking about her archaeological findings. Maya replies that during one of their explorations, they stumbled upon a strange skeleton. The bones were oddly human-like, but among them lay the core stone of a demon wind. Ye Kai considers the information and suggests it might have been a human-shaped demon wind. Before anyone can dwell on this revelation, the ground begins to tremble violently. The snowy mountains start to crumble, and massive chunks of ice and rock collapse around them. Lu Hang shouts for everyone to run, leading them away from the collapsing ridge. As they flee, the unstable terrain seems to guide them to an ominous sight. The wreckage of a plane emerges from the snow, a chilling remnant of the tragedy 20 years ago. Liu Heng immediately notices something strange about how they were directed there, but before he can voice his concern, Ivan drops to his knees. A strange weakness overwhelms him as he stares at the wreckage. His voice trembles as he confesses that he feels like he's been there before. A voice echoes from below, confirming that Ivan has indeed been there not just as a witness, but as someone who took something that didn't belong to him. Ivan and the group spin toward the source of the voice, their eyes widening as the figures of the White Ghost organization emerge from the shadows, encircling them. Ivan recognizes the man as the same person who tried to steal the map from the Dubba worker. The man steps forward and tells the group that their quarrel isn't with them and suggests they leave if they don't want trouble. He declares that they want Ivan alone. The tension rises as Yikai steps forward and accuses the White Ghost of colluding with demon winds, questioning what they'll gain from disrupting the world's fragile balance. The man dismisses the accusation. He says their aim is not to destroy, but to accomplish what Dub never could. He speaks of the Chosen Ones as an evolved form of humanity, beings of unparalleled strength, and scoffs at the idea of using such power to serve ordinary people as mere guard dogs. However, Ivan tells them that possessing great power is not a license for selfishness. Instead, it is a call to bear the responsibility of protecting the world. The White Ghost declares that Dubba's ideals are nothing more than a leash, enslaving the Chosen Ones to a life of servitude. He invites them to join his side and partner with the domain of the demon winds to break free from their prison of moral slavery. Liu Heng glares at him and accuses them of madness. He demands to know if they aren't afraid that the demon winds will eventually turn on them. The man claims that demon winds weren't made to be monsters, and that the real monsters are Dub. Liu Heng's anger boils over, his transformation surging forth as he shouts back that Dub has been the shield protecting the peace of the three worlds. He charges forward and launches a fierce attack, with Qin Mo following closely behind. The man commands his group to capture Ivan, telling them to take out whoever gets between them and their target. Chaos erupts as the group clashes with the members of the organization. Qin Mo focuses her energy on the leader, demanding to know who he really is. She attempts to trap him with her powers, but he slips through her hold. However, she manages to rip his mask off. Shock washes over her as she recognizes him as her entertainment agent, the man who has worked by her side for the past 5 years. Qin Mo demands to know why he infiltrated her life as her agent. The man coolly responds that he had no grand scheme, only curiosity. He wanted to observe how far grit and determination would take an orphan. Her fury peaks, and she lands a powerful punch on him before binding him to a rock with her powers. The agent is unfazed. Instead, he calls out to a 9-headed general, summoning a massive force. A devastating attack descends from the sky. Yikai senses it and shouts a warning, but the blast strikes Gerome and Ivan. Ivan struggles to make sense of what just hit them, but Gerome quickly identifies the pattern of the strikes, attempting to predict the next one. Despite his efforts, they are struck again, leaving both of them worse for wear. Qin Mo steps forward and uses her powers to give the team another eye, granting them the ability to see their invisible attacker. The sky darkens as a titanic creature with an eagle's head descends. The sheer size of the monster makes the group's earlier battles pale in comparison. They band together, coordinating their attacks in an attempt to trap the creature and shield Ivan. Their combined strength seems promising, but the general effortlessly shatters their efforts. The eagle-headed monster soars above them and accuses them of killing his demon winds without mercy. He unleashes a ferocious attack aimed at Ivan. Ivan raises his Excalibur to block it, but the general's power is overwhelming. The force threatens to crush him, but the seal on his prophetic jade begins to loosen. With a surge of strength, Ivan deflects the attack, but the effort leaves him drained. Yikai channels her energy, casting a spell to heal the team and restore their strength. The general notices her and immediately targets her. He strikes her down with a swift and brutal blow. He moves methodically, attacking Maya next, then Liu Heng, and then Qin Mo, each falling before they can even react. Ivan watches in horror as his teammates are systematically taken down. Before he can act, the general turns to him, delivering a series of relentless blows. Ivan tries to defend himself, but the general's strength and speed leave him helpless. Maya's scream pierces through the chaos as she watches Ivan being knocked unconscious by the general. Qin Mo struggles to her feet with her body trembling from exhaustion. The general sneers at her, mocking her futile attempts, and declares that her resistance is meaningless now that all her teammates have fallen. He shoves her aside and strides toward Ivan's limp form. Ivan's body is suddenly lifted by a glowing magical spell cast from above. The energy spirals downward, striking him directly in the core. The group calls out to him desperately, as the spell begins draining his energy. Ivan's consciousness flickers, and his father's voice echoes in his mind. Memories rush back. He sees fragments of a battlefield where Dub members clashed against the White Ghost organization. Amid the chaos, a key fragment appears, drawn irresistibly to Ivan's body as though magnetized. Meanwhile, Gerome regains consciousness. His eyes widen in horror at the sight of Ivan suspended in the air, energy being stolen from him. He lunges toward the general in a desperate attempt to stop the process, but is easily swatted aside. The key fragment is finally torn from Ivan's body, and as it departs, the seal within Ivan shatters completely. The general and the agent begin arguing over who will claim the fragment. While they clash, Ivan slowly rises to his feet, his presence more imposing than ever. The general smirks, commending Ivan for standing against him. Ivan thanks him but demands something. He wants to get his friends and the key fragment back. It turns out the general has a different idea. He wants Ivan to hand over Gerome, and if he does, he will spare their lives, to which Ivan refuses with a fat no. As the general's forces keep the group restrained, Ivan throws Gerome at their location to distract the guards. Kinmo uses the opportunity to break free, striking down her captor with precision. Lu Hang, Yikai, and Maya follow suit, overwhelming their captors despite their injuries. The general observes Ivan carefully, noting how his aura continues to grow stronger. His curiosity shifts to irritation as he unleashes his full power. He moves at blinding speed, his attacks precise and relentless. Ivan struggles to match his movements, barely managing to dodge each strike. The general delivers a crushing blow, forcing Ivan to block it with Excalibur. The general chuckles, mocking Ivan for his bravery, but warning him not to delude himself into thinking he stands a chance. Meanwhile, Kinmo confronts her agent with focused fury. Her speed and strength overwhelm him, leaving him powerless against her relentless attacks. Elsewhere, Maya and Lu Hang team up to fend off the organization's remaining members, their coordination flawless despite the odds. Although Yikai is weakened, she supports them with spell work. The battle in the snowy mountains takes its toll on the group. Their movements grow sluggish, and even Ivan starts to struggle to keep his grip on Excalibur. The general notices this and seizes the moment, rushing toward Ivan with increased speed to put an end to their battle. Before the attack lands, Yikai steps forward, channeling the last reserves of her strength. She creates a flower shield to protect Ivan and casts an amplification spell, transferring her energy to him. Ivan feels a surge of power course through his body. The trembling ceases, and his vision sharpens. He rises once again with his unwavering resolve. Ivan charges toward the general, matching his speed with a ferocity unlike anything he has displayed before. Their clash is so swift and intense that their movements blur into streaks of energy. The general's disbelief grows as he realizes Ivan's strength rivals his own, after being bolstered by just one spell. The battle ends with Ivan landing a powerful slash across the general, forcing him to his knees. However, the victory is short-lived. The general rises as he unleashes his full power after admitting he underestimated Ivan. He retaliates with devastating force, targeting Ivan. The group rallies around him, each using their powers to shield and counter the general's attacks. For the first time, the general begins to feel the combined weight of their strength. Kinmo uses the opportunity to summon her chains, binding the general tightly. With the general restrained, Ivan moves forward, his energy focused into Excalibur. The sword glows with an intense, otherworldly light. He steps closer and unleashes a powerful slash that takes down the general for good. As the general collapses, the key fragment rises into the air and makes its way back to Ivan, who takes hold of it to mark his victory. A warm light breaks through the storm clouds above, bathing the snowy mountains in sunlight. The battle is over. Back in the southern continent, the atmosphere is tense. 3 days have passed since Ivan and his group disappeared, and there is still no word from Dub about his fate. Unease spreads through the populace and protests erupt, demanding Ivan's expulsion from Dub. As the unrest reaches its peak, the Dub officials arrive, their presence commanding attention. Whispers ripple through the crowd as Ivan and his team return, stepping forward with confidence. News of their victory against a powerful demon wind and the White Ghost organization begins to spread among the people. Doubts creep into the minds of Ivan's harshest critics, challenging their assumptions about his loyalty. Finally, a Dub representative steps forward to address the crowd. They declare Ivan and his team as heroes because their deeds saved countless lives and restored balance. At Minxian University, Ivan approaches Kinmo. He stands beside her and asks if she has found a new agent yet. She brushes off the question, shifting the conversation to something heavier. She brings up his father, wondering how he will clear his name now that the only clue is gone. Ivan tells her that giving up isn't an option. He promises to keep searching, no matter how long it takes. He then tells her that no matter what the future holds, he will always protect her. Later, the group gathers at the excavation site where the mysterious explosion occurred. Liu Heng uncovers the cloth at the site. As he pulls it away, the group is shocked by the sight. Beneath the cloth lies a skeletal figure with its chest encasing a demon core. Ivan claims that it doesn't resemble a human, suggesting it could be a demon wind. Liu Heng, however, shakes his head and reminds them that demon winds don't leave skeletons behind. Maya points out that the skeleton here is identical to the one they discovered in the snowy mountains. Yikai's expression darkens as she pieces the information together, suggesting that the two skeletons might belong to a single entity. On the other hand, Qin Mo feels an unexplainable pull toward the skeleton. Its energy seems to resonate with her, calling out in a way that she can't ignore. She reaches out and touches the skeleton briefly. The moment she makes contact, a vivid red light bursts forth, forming a swirling portal behind her. Before anyone can react, the portal's energy surges. It sweeps Qin Mo off her feet and pulls her into the glowing void as the group shouts her name in panic. They rush to grab her, but the portal closes in an instant, leaving them stunned and helpless. Qin Mo lies unconscious in the heterodox world. A girl reaches out beside her, gently brushing a hand across Qin Mo's face because she hasn't seen her in a long time. Watch this next video. See you on the next one.